Hello guys, today this is a video that is showing some questions on probability, on solving some complex probability questions that are higher tier for the board Edexcel. So these are some iGCSE probability questions that I'll be trying to solve. I'll try to explain it the best I can, and let's see. This is like a short video, so let's try this as fast as we can. So question 13. In Group C, there are 6 girls and 8 boys. In Group D, there are 3 girls and 7 boys. A team is made by picking at random one child from Group C and one child from Group D. Calculate the probability tree diagram. Okay, this is pretty simple because we need to understand what is the total number of children in Group C. So in Group C, you see the total is 6 plus 8, which makes it 14. Their total of 14 children in Group C. Now in Group D, we have to find out what is the total number of children in Group D. So that is 3 plus 7, that should be 10. Okay, so out of 10 and 10 children, how many goals are there for Group C? There are 6 goals out of 10 for Group C. But this, sorry guys, for Group C, you're doing this individually, right? So 10 is for Group D, so for 14, there are 14 children in Group C, so be careful of that. So there are 6 girls out of 14 children in Group C, and 8 boys out of 14 in Group C as well. And in Group D, we know the total is 10 as well. Total number of children is 10, so this doesn't change. So it just remains as 10. And how many girls are there in Group D? There are 3 girls. And how many boys? There are 7 boys. So this remains the same for the second hand of the second tree diagram. Okay, now work out the probability that there are 2 boys in the team. So now working out the probability that there are 2 boys, the only comparison that we can see here is there's a boy here and there's a boy there as well. So that's the only comparison that we can make. Now in order to find out the probability, we have to multiply 18 by 14 times 7 by 10. That should give us, put in your calculator, and you should be getting approximately 2 by 5. Just leave it as 2 by 5, don't do any decimal, just leave it as a fraction. There you go, for 2 marks you can score just by answering this probability question. There's some like complex questions, but they're fairly easy once you understand them, right? Okay, now the next question for probability is that after the first team has been picked, a second team is picked. One child is picked at random from the children left in Group C, and one child is picked at random from the children left in Group D. Work out the probability that there are 2 boys in each team. So in the first section, the probability that there are 2 boys is given to us. So the probability of boy and boy is 2 by 5 in the first group, in the first hand, right? First hand, there are 2 in the 2 by 5 from what we have calculated. Now what about in the second hand, the probability of 2 boys being in each team? Now on the second hand, what can we see? There's an assumption that we can make is that one child is picked at random. The question says one child is picked at random from children left in Group C. So after the first team has been picked, so we have calculated that, then we're seeing that one child is being taken at random from the children left in Group C, and one child is picked at random from the children left in Group D. Work out the probability, okay, for 2 boys. So now understanding this question requires a bit of processing, so we have to find out the comparison from where. How do we find the probability of getting BB in the second hand of the block, right? So this would be, in order to get BB for the boys, there would be 3 children that would be added to the total, right? So that would make it 7 by 13 times of getting a boy again. That would mean, now where is the 7 by 13 taken from? If you carefully examine of getting boy again, once one child has been taken at random, we're technically subtracting 8 by 14, like by, right, we do we're basically subtracting 1 from 8 by 14, right? So we just subtract that by 1, we should be 8 by 14 minus 1 by 1 should be giving 7. So you subtract on the top as well as on the bottom to get the value of 7 by 13. And times the second hand of getting boy again, 7 by 10, you do the same thing again. So you just subtract by 1 because you're saying that one child is being picked at random and left in group C, and then one child. So you subtract by 1 to get 6 and 9. So on the second hand, you have 7 by 13 times 6 by 9, which should give you approximately 6 by 9 children of the total after they are picked. That should give you 14 by 39. Now this is not the end of the question because we have to multiply this value by 2 boys of a team, right? So where do we get that value is that we have 14 by 39 times the value that we have found, 2 by 5, in order to find out the probability that there are 2 boys in the team. So we just multiply that value and we get 28 by 195. That's for 3 marks, you have 28 by 195, alright? In order to find the probability that there are 2 boys in 2 teams. So that's why we multiply 2 by 5. Alright, for the next question that they're asking is that each day, this is another probability question. This is not connected with the question previously. So each day that Barney goes to college, he either goes by bus or he walks. The probability that Barney will go to college by bus on any day is 0.3. When Barney goes to college by bus, the probability that he'll be late is 0.2. When Barney walks to college, the probability that he will be late is 0.1. Complete the probability tree diagram. So they're giving us the probability that he will go to college is 0.3, and we know that the total number of probabilities when they all add up is 1. So we're going to just do 1 minus 0.3 to give us that value of 0.7. That's a probability of Barney walking. Alright, now the next thing is when Barney goes to college by bus, that's the bus here, the probability that he will be late is 0.1, right? And when he walks to college again, this is walking. Remember, the probability of 0.2 is by Barney taking bus and becoming late, and the next probability of Barney walking and being late, right? Barney walks to college is being late is 0.1. So we know total probabilities add up to 1. So 1 minus 0.2, that should be given to us as 0.8. And 1 minus 0.1, that should be given to us 0.9. So the values of where I got 0.2 has been taken from the question itself, where they say Barney goes to college by bus. The bus is here, and the probability that he will be late by bus is 0.2. And I just subtracted 1. I just subtracted 0.2 from 1 to get 0.8. And the probability that Barney will be late by walking is given to us again by 0.1. So this is some 2 markers and involving 2 concept of ideas and carefully reading the question and understanding it, right? Okay, so this should be your answers in your question, and I think that's it, right? So then the Barney will go to college on 200 days next year. Work out an estimate for the number of days that Barney will be late for college next year. So we have to find out all the probabilities that Barney is getting late. So the probability Barney getting late by bus is equal by bus. Probability that he will be getting late by bus is 0.3 by bus, and being late is 0.2. So that should give you 0.3 times 0.2. That should be giving you 0.06. And the probability that Barney will be getting late by walking, you can just mention that as well. That is 0.7 times 0.1, because he's getting late here, by bus and by walking. 0.7 times 0.1, that should be about 0.07. Now what you need to do is to add these 2 probabilities together to get the total probability. So now in order to do that, you have to add both these probabilities together to get 0.13, and they have already given you that Barney goes to college on 200 days next year. You just multiplied the probability of him getting late multiplied by 200 days to get the number of days that he will be late for. So the probability times the number of days, that should give you 26 days is the estimate that Barney will be late for college next year. So that is 26 days. There are some good 4 markers that you can score. The total question for this 14 is 6 marks. Alright, so you have to score those. Now next question is about Boris. Is the next question that's not related to the previous one. So this is more like a theoretical one. We have to analyze this, and this is for 5 marks in total. So we have to score those 5 marks. So Boris has a bag that contains red sweets and green sweets. Boris takes at random 2 sweets from the bag. Guys, remember this tip is that they always ask some probability question related to either sweets or either related to counters. So it's the same concept of someone taking random 2 sweets from the bag. So you just apply the same idea and the same concept. The probability that Boris takes exactly 1 sweet from the bag is 12 by 35. Originally there were 3 red sweets in the bag. Work out how many green sweets there were originally in the bag. Now you have to show your working clearly for 5 marks, okay? Alright, so he contains the red sweets as well as the green sweets. Okay, so there were 3 sweets originally in the bag, so they're technically giving us the answer, right? They're giving us like clues for the answer. So there are 3 sweets in the bag, so we know that the number of red sweets in the bag are 3. What about how many green sweets there were originally in the bag? So the number of green sweets is x. We'll just call it x because it's an unknown variable, right? It's not known that how many green sweets are there originally in the bag. So the total number of sweets, since the bag only contains red and green sweets, so we're just going to do total number of sweets is, we're just going to call it x plus 3, green sweets plus red sweets, okay? Now, based on this, you can either make a probability tree diagram and you can understand this question, okay? So you draw the probability tree diagram. There are red sweets, there are green sweets. You draw the probability tree again. There are red sweets, and there are green sweets, there are red sweets, and then there are green sweets, alright? So in order to get green sweets, in order to get red sweets, sorry guys, there are 3 red sweets out of the total of x plus 3. You just have to imagine that this x plus 3 is like a total for that question, alright? So what we're going to do is we're going to call it 3 red sweets in the total of x plus 3, and the number of green sweets here is x out of the total of x plus 3, because the total number of sweets. It's like if I give another example, and there are these black sweets out of a total, and there's one diamond. What is the probability of us getting a diamond in this bag? So there are 6 shapes. So the probability of getting diamond is 1 out of 6. So this is the same concept is applied when dealing with the probability question for sweets. Now, what's the probability of getting a red again in the second bag, right? It takes 2 sweets from the bag and in the second hand. So now, remember, why we're drawing this is because the probability, because Boris takes at random 2 sweets from the bag. So the probability that he exactly takes 1 red sweet is 12 by 35. So we'll reach here in the later steps. So first let's solve the probability tree diagram. So the probability of him getting red again, remember guys, in the previous question I had done something related to subtracting 1 by the numerator and denominator. Since he's taking 1 red sweet and he's not putting it back in the bag, so we're technically deducting it. So we're doing 3 minus 1 as well out of the total of x plus 2. Now the reason is because the red sweets will decrease. Since we're decreasing this, we have to decrease the denominator as well, and we cannot decrease the x variable. So this should give us 2 by x plus 2 number of red sweets, because 1 red sweet is being taken away from the bag, right? Exactly 1, it's been taken away from the bag, as well as the total is deducted by 1. So it's easier just to subtract this by 1. So that's x plus 2. And the next part is, in order to get green, you just have x divided by x plus 2 out of the total, because of the new total that is given to us is x plus 2, because we just deducted one sweet for red in order to get x plus 2 as well from the total. So the number of green sweets is x by x plus 2. Now on the second hand of the question, I'm just going to put the square brackets here, or just circle it or something. Okay, now how to get a red sweet. Now in order to get red sweets, how many red sweets are there? There are a total 3. So you're taking 3 and you have a total of x plus 2 again, because you're deducting the green sweets, right? And then for green sweets, you have x minus 1 divided by x plus 2, which is the new total. So it doesn't change, it remains the same as well, okay? So now we have to work out how many green sweets there were originally in the bag. So if I draw a new diagram, which is better, right? Let's just draw a new diagram, which is better. Alright guys, so that you can clearly see the pattern here in this question. So I'm just going to write all the values down. So red, green, and the red we have found is 3 by x plus 3. Green is x divided by x plus 3. To find red, it's 2 by x plus 2. To find green, red green is x by x plus 2. Green red is 3 by x plus 2. And these are the values. This is an addition sign, okay guys? It's an addition sign, doesn't change. And to find green is x minus 1 divided by x plus 2. So these are all the values that you should be knowing, okay? So now what's a probability? There's no space here, okay. So I'm just gonna put something here. Now what's a probability of getting red green? Probability of us getting red green, or the probability of us getting red green, is that you have to just multiply these two values. 3 by x plus 3, you have to just multiply it by x plus 2. We're looking from the question of getting red and green. They're not asking us to find red and red. That's technically not the question, because they're saying how many green sweets there are. So red and green, that's same from here. We have 3 by x plus 3 multiplied by x plus times x divided by x plus 2. Now this is basic algebra. You guys should be knowing it. So I'm just going to simplify it, and it should be getting 3 by x plus 3 brackets x plus 2. That should be our value. Then your next probability should be green and red. Now green and red is this pattern here. So that is same thing, x plus divided by x plus 3 times 3 divided by x plus 2, all taken from the probability tree diagram. And this value, as basic algebra again, is 3x. Put them in brackets, x plus 3 by x plus 2. Now remember, they have given from the question itself that the probability of taking one red sweet from the bag is 12 by 35. That's why we are doing red green as well as green red. So what you need to do is just do 3x divided by, let me see if I can make space somewhere here. I'm just going to delete this, all of this portion, and we know that we can use this portion to calculate the value. So I'm just going to keep this diagram closed here, and we're going to go solve some questions there. So we know that we can do 3 by x taken from the probability of red green as well as the probability of getting green red. So 3 by x by brackets x plus 3, we have to add them both up because the probability of getting exactly one red sweet. 3 by x divided by x plus 3 brackets x plus 2 is equal to 12 by 35. Now this portion, I'm not going to solve it now because this is all basic algebra. So all you need to do is to basically solve this algebra equation by doing because you can just simplify this. Since the denominators are the same, you can just be getting 6x divided by x plus 3 brackets x plus 2 is equal to 12 by 35. Now this is basic algebra. You just have to do cross multiplication. Once you do cross multiplication, you should be getting approximately equation of 12x minus 150x plus 72 that is equal to 0 after doing the cross multiplication. Now don't leave the question like this. What you need to do, your next step, is to divide all of this by 6 in order to simplify it as well. So by simplifying it by 6, you should be getting approximately 2x squared minus 150 divided by 6. That should be giving you minus 25x plus 72 divided by 6, that is 12, is all equal to 0. Now this is basically, you can either find the x value. This is a quadratic equation, so you have to find the value for x. Now in order to find the value for x, what we can do is we can simplify this, right? So in order to simplify it, you should be getting approximately some brackets while simplifying it. These steps you should be knowing is x minus 12 is equal to 0. Once you simplify this equation, you get it in the form of brackets, and all you need to do is 2x minus 1 is equal to 0 and x minus 12 is equal to 0. Once you have found that, you should be getting x, the value of solving this algebraic equation. X is half and x is 12. Now the real case scenario is, once people find out these two x values, they start to question, how do we know how many green sweets there are? So now in order to find this, remember, green sweets, when I'm talking about a number, it is an integer. So the number of green sweets that are originally in the bag is an integer. It will never be a decimal. You don't have 2.5 oranges or 2.5 green sweets. So x should technically be an integer, right? It should be, let's just write that properly. So x, where is it? Sorry guys. Oh no, it's all on. Okay, wait, it's all back. All right, sorry guys. So x should be an integer, right? X should be an integer. So cross out this half. You have x is equal to 12. And remember, originally looking for a question at the step 1, we know that green sweets is equal to x. So x is equal to 12. So we know that now there are 12 green sweets in the bag. 12 green sweets in the bag, and we have solved that question for 5 marks, and it's pretty awesome. Alright? Okay, let's move on to the next question. There are 12 sweets in the green bag. Now the next question is also similar, but this question is also worth for 5 marks, so you have to score those good marks. Right, so a box contains marbles. So now instead of calling it green sweets, I'm just calling it marbles. 4 of the marbles are red, the rest of the marbles are yellow. So let's work out the number of yellow marbles. The number of yellow marbles, let's give it like a value of n. The total marbles that are given here, total marbles is 4 plus n, because we know already the box contains marbles and they are red marbles or they're yellow marbles, so nothing else is given. So it's 4 plus n. The total marbles is 4 plus n. Now Antonia takes at random a marble from the box. So remember, you see this word at random, it's following the same concept, guys, the same concept. Antonia takes at random a marble from the box and does not replace it. So that means she doesn't put it back. Okay, and Sergio takes at random a marble from the box. The probability that Antonia and Sergio both take a yellow marble, remember both take a yellow marble, is 0.7. Sorry guys. So this is a clue already saying that when they both take a yellow marble, they should be getting the probability of 0.1. Work out how many marbles there were originally in the box. So now let's look at the clues. So Antonia takes at random a marble from the box, and Sergio takes a random a marble from the box as well. So the probability that they both will take a yellow marble. So your rules for conditioning should be the probability of taking yellow as well as yellow, because they're clearly stating that the probability that Antonio and Sergio will take a yellow marble is 0.7. So probability of getting yellow and yellow is 0.7. So it is a probability of getting yellow and yellow, which indirectly tells you that we have to do either multiplication to get this value. Multiplication is involved in this. So let's find the conditioning rules. So the probability of taking yellow and yellow is equal to, we know that the total number of marbles for yellow is n divided by 4 plus n. Now we multiply, because it's multiplication, the probability of taking both yellow marbles. Now in this case, since we're taking one marble, remember they clearly stated in the question that she doesn't replace it. Antonia doesn't replace the marble. So that means it's going to be n minus 1, because there are going to be few marbles left, as well as 4 plus n minus 1. We're doing minus 1 again because Antonia doesn't replace the marble back into the box. And this, once you simplify it, you should be getting 4 plus n times n minus 1 divided by n by 3 plus n. This is taken from 4 minus 1, that should be giving you 3 plus n. And now once you have found this out, 4 plus n times n minus 1 3 divided by 3 plus n is equal to 0.7. The reason is because they're clearly given it to you in the question that both of them will take a yellow marble is 0.7. Now this is again cross multiplication. So once you do cross multiplication, you should be getting your answer simplified by simplifying everything. Try to simplify as much as possible. So you could either convert this into a fraction. So what I would like us to do is just put 0.7 in your calculator. You should be getting 0.7 as a fraction. So make it 7 by 10. So you're just going to write a new equation and solve it like this, so that it's simpler, right, for you guys to just solve it in terms of fractions. So it's equal to 7 by 10. So now once you solve this, you should be getting a quadratic equation of 3 by 9 minus 59 and minus 84 is equal to 0 once simplifying it. Okay, we're not going to simplify in this question. I'm just explaining how to do probability questions. So once you solve this algebraic question, right, by doing cross multiplication for this question first and then multiplying it by 7 by 10 indirectly. Now by looking at this, it's pretty difficult to simplify this quadratic equation. So you could either apply the quadratic formula, in this case as x equals to minus b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Now this is usually given in your this equation is usually given in your math equation formula sheet in the exam papers. So you just need to understand how to use it. And this is based on the equation of the quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So the a here is 3 in this equation, the b here is minus 59, and the c here is equal to minus 84. Now put that in your quadratic formula. Now instead of x, we're just going to call it n, because the reason is because we have put the number of yellow marbles as n. So instead of x, just put n. And simplifying it, you should be getting two simplification forms. That is minus 59 plus square root minus 59 square minus 3 square root brackets minus 84, all divided by 2 by 3. This should be giving your value as 21. Then your other form could be minus 59, because this is plus or minus, meaning it can be either added or subtracted. You have minus square root minus 59 square minus, based on this equation, I'm just inputting I'm just putting values in them, just changing, rearranging, filling them as well, minus 84, all divided by 2 by 3. So your n should be equal to 4 by 3. Now we have the two values for n, so similar to the last probability question. Now what you need to understand is that, remember, the number of marbles can never be a fraction again. So it can never be a fraction. So like you can't have 2.5 marbles. So it's cut off, this minus 4 by 3 is cut off So your total number of yellow marbles is 21. Now remember, do not write 21 directly for 5 marks. You know why? Because you have to read the question carefully. It asks us work out how many marbles were there. So your total should be the number of yellow marbles, which is found as 21, and the total marble formula, that is 4 plus n, should be equal to 4 plus the number of yellow marbles. 4 represents the number of red marbles, 21 represents the number of yellow marbles. Your total should be 25 marbles originally in the box. So this is some probability questions that were related to solving some complex probability questions. For 5 marks, you can score those good marks. Now these are some of the complex questions that are related to probability solving and conditioning statements and all. So I hope so this video helps. If you guys enjoyed this video, please do like, share, and subscribe. It will really help the channel a lot. And please do comment below if you have any suggestions on whether I should do past paper questions or teach on some certain topics as well. Otherwise, I think just enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys on the next